Wukong just kind of is a one-stop shop for everything you want out of a jungler right now.
Now, I've heard whisperings that things like the AP junglers can be very, very good into the Wukong, so maybe Jiejie has something up his sleeve. But that doesn't really strike me as Jiejie's style, necessarily. Is Viper going to take this Ezreal away? So we're going to go into a very different game. Just do it! Jiejie, look at it! God damn. It's so hard. It's Viego. It's always Viego. I'm so sick of Viego.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is now the new Jinx of Helios, right? It's like Viego, Wukong, and if they're both gone, we get a Lee Sin. That's basically the way this is going to go. But Ezreal locked in means that you are going to get the hope to go towards the counter pick if you want to in the Kalista, which is what we saw a lot at MSI. But actually going to go back to the Jinx. That's not something I expected to see.
No, very late game. I will say, leans into Hope's classic style. Like when we think of Hope in 2020, it was all about these late game AD carries. It was like the on-hit Varus he did exceptionally well on. So I can see Hope being a very good AD carry on the Jinx, but Jinx right now, the early game got nerfed quite a bit. But I suppose against an Ezreal, you're not that worried about it.
Yeah, it's just more so a case of I think the Kai'Sa fits so well with things like Wukong, even the Leona if you want to pick it up, right? Like that backline dive access is so strong. And even when you look at like the Braum and the Nautilus both gone away, it just kind of lends itself to a nice easy setup for the Kai'Sa. But either way, you're still going to have good team fights with the Jinx. You just won't be able to facilitate as much of the dive as JDG is kind of set up for themselves already. But on the opposite side for EDG, we'll have to see what the plan is going to be. I think Yuumi, honestly, I mean, Meiko would get to play his own skin. I don't see any problems with this here, you know? I think this is just a good pick.
You've got Meiko on his own skin. You've got Jiejie on his own skin as well. Are we going to... Wait, did Flandre play his skin? He did, right? We didn't even notice last game.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, we're idiots. Yeah. I don't know if he played his skin. Did he play his skin?
I think he did. It was black and white.
Maybe it's the sunglasses. Maybe I couldn't see it properly.
Oh, maybe. You're too shaded. That's the problem. We've got 5 seconds on the first span here for EDG, and they will take the Lissandra off the board. I wonder what Scout's thinking of picking.
I mean, maybe we're going to get the Ahri takeaway. I wouldn't be surprised to see something like the LeBlanc taken off the board as well. Yagao, very, very good on that LeBlanc. Even just the respect ban as well sometimes comes through for the Zoe, because we both kind of know Zoe has for the longest time been a big pick for JDG. We've seen it banned against him at 17% of the time as well. So not too high on the priority list, but definitely something that could be a potential ban here for EDG.
Flandre getting the Vladimir respect ban once again. That seems to be a fairly consistent theme that we're starting to see against EDG. Flandre brought the Vlad out once or twice, and ever since he's not been allowed to play it. So showing his stuff up in that top side, showing that he needs that respect. And now, like you say, could be a second mid lane ban to set Scout up for an Ahri pick.
Yeah, and I think just JDG are kind of going the right route here. They're actually going to be the Twisted Fate ban, but getting rid of things that can kind of create issues for the backline in the fight are actually your best bet. So maybe you honestly just ban away the Ahri here, because I think if you're looking at like, okay, well, Wukong's going to go forward, Leona's going to go forward, Jinx at the moment is going to be kind of left on her lonesome, and if you end up with something like a Vladimir that could actually like duel her in the backline, that could be an issue. Ahri provides the same thing, so that's why we're seeing the Ahri ban come through now.
Yeah, I think Scout leaning towards maybe a LeBlanc Twisted Fate ban, but actually just going to go straight for a Zoe here as the blind pick in that mid lane. Now, historically, one of the good picks into the Zoe has been that Orianna, but it's not necessarily a pick that I necessarily think of Yagao for. Certainly would lean into the scaling with a Jinx and potentially a Gangplank coming through.
Yeah, I think Gangplank works really well here and just like helping again to close the gap. Good threat towards the backline, so you can kind of like have that extra cannon barrage on top of the dive coming through from Wukong. So I think right now it's looking pretty damn good. Yagao as well going to go towards the LeBlanc that we're talking about if he wants to. Or, well, maybe swapping over towards the Azir for the late game. But I think something that at least can either like play backline alongside this Jinx is going to work out well, or facilitate the dive potential that works with the Wukong. So LeBlanc, or even if you want to look towards the Azir, could both work out here.
So LeBlanc locked in here for Yagao. Just to be his second game of LeBlanc of the split. So far, an infinite KDA on LeBlanc. Didn't die in his first game. 100% win rate so far. So, you know, that's only based on one game, so I don't want to get too excited there. But powerful pick in the mid lane for the side of JDG. And now over to EDG, because they need to figure out what they can take against 369's Gangplank, because the Graves didn't seem to cut it in game number 1. The Riven is actually locked in. I assumed that was just a bait.
No, I mean, we've actually started to see Riven like creep back into the meta. Because you're able to get so many gap closes against the Gangplank, you can struggle with it quite a bit. You tend to take the Flash Ignite in this lane as well, so you can actually have that all-in potential. And if Jiejie can get up to that top side, I think it's going to work out great. I think the only issue for Flandre in this is like how much CC there's going to be for these team fights, right? Like the Wukong lockups are going to be able to disrupt them. The CC coming through from missing as well is going to be an issue. And unless you actually manage to hop onto the backline and get on towards Hope, there's not going to be a huge amount of damage that Flandre can really make stick to key characters in these fights.
Yeah, I'll have to say, I will say that the Zoe, Ezreal, and Yuumi, it's giving me flashbacks of 2020 top esports. Oh no! What have I done? I forgot my shades.
Oh no!
I swear, when you're like, you had a very serious expression on as we cut to camera with your aviators on. You look like a 80s like California cop, you know, with your shirt on, like Starsky and
Miami Vice is over here, you know.
yeah, exactly. It kind of giving me flashbacks to Top Esports 2020 with this Zoe Ezreal Yuumi comp. Feels very like long range, poke them down, bubble into true shot barrage, this kind of style of play.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. And like, if you can actually come out ahead in the early stages here for EDG, I think you're in a relatively good spot, right? Because then you can actually use your long range. You can look to get the poke from Scout, from Viper to actually have hit. But the biggest problem that I see is like, if you actually start to fall behind here and Kanavi can make some magic happen like you did in game number 1, suddenly you don't get the opportunity to try and like play at range in the same manner that you did. And that's where I think a lot of the issues can start to creep in for EDG.
I have to say, I'm excited for Flandre bringing out the Riven. One of the things we said at the very start of today was, look, Flandre 369, interesting champion pools. Flandre especially, a lot of counter picks up his sleeve. We've seen his Vlad. We've seen his Annie. Now we're seeing his Riven up against this Gangplank after the Graves game. Not really working out for him in game number 1. And also, Jiejie having this Viego in his pocket. Obviously, has his own skin on this champion. Like, we know how good Jiejie is on the Viego. I want to see him carry. I want to see him back on top.
Well, we're going to have to see if he's going to be able to manage it. I think the big one here is like Wukong, very, very strong in the early stages of the game. Can make it a bit tough for the Viego to try and make it happen. I'm trying to see. That is the EDG skin, is it? Yeah. So we got Scout on his skin. We have Yuumi on his for Meiko, I'm assuming. And then
wait a second. We just need Viper to play Aphelios in game 3. We need EDG to win this game, then Viper to play Aphelios game 3, and then all of the EDG skins will have been played in this series. That would be just beautiful. I don't know if they're willing to do that. Aphelios is not the greatest spot right now, to be honest, but hey, it's doable.
I think I'm wrong. I don't think it is EDG's Zoe, because it's blue and white, isn't it? And that's more of like a ready color in the mid lane, so it could be wrong.
I genuinely don't have a clue. I have no idea what that Zoe skin looks like.
We are the worst LPL guys. We're supposed to be supporting these guys, and we're like, I don't know, maybe it is their skin. Who knows?
Look, I support them. I've bought the skin.
All right, no, it's definitely not.
I'm pretty sure it is.
It's definitely.
Is it not?
No, it has blue and white hair, so no, it's not. We baited you all. And now Twitch chat is probably just screaming at us.
Yeah. You brought it up, not me.
It's the sunglasses. It's the sunglasses. Blame the sunglasses, you know? Yeah.
Everything that goes wrong this cast, it's the sunglasses, okay? JJ, hey, he's got his own skin, though. Wait, aren't there chromas? Maybe there's a chroma. I don't know. Let's move on. Let's move on. Kanavi pathing towards the bottom side here, as is JJ. We could have a bit of a tussle around this bottom lane early on.
Yeah, I mean, I think you've got a pretty strong engage here for Hope and Missing, but honestly, I think it's just really hard to actually try and lock down Viper and Meiko unless they make some sort of big mistake. So you'll get push and you'll try and like keep up vision control on this bot side so Hope can look for plates, but other than that, I just don't see them really looking for too much unless they can get Yagao out of lane and try and link up for some sort of like 4-man dive, because realistically, Hope just doesn't have damage in the early stages to try and match up against what that terror damage can do.
JJ looks like he wants to try and make a play happen up in this top side. 369 pushing in, wants to get that barrel off and finish the wave off, but Flandre very good at starting a fight on this Riven. 369 already half HP and being chased down the wrong way in this lane. He's gonna go down. There is no way you survive that one. And once again, the Viego gets off to a flying start. This time, though, it's for EDG.
Yeah, good guy Flandre as well, giving the kill across to Jiejie there, going, look, no, we get you off, but it is going to be answered on the bot side.
Dive in the bottom side as well, which is rare on this patch. Viper 1 HP and missing
Oh my God.
as Hope gets the reset and tries to flee. Kanavi in trouble here as Scout's gone in, but Scout's low on HP, and that's a double kill for Hope on an early game Jinx. That is a nightmare for EDG. At least Scout gets one, at least there's some answer as Meiko on the Yuumi looking for a solo kill onto Hope. Can he actually get this? I don't think so. Hope chases him away.
I mean, still though, JDG getting 2 kills off that. Not quite able to connect with the zap as well, but we'll get to crash this wave. You get the full free reset for Yagao in the mid lane as well. JDG, I mean, answer back so well.
Yeah, wow, what a banger fight. Just 4 minutes into the game, we need a replay of this one. So start off, we see Jiejie go for the play on top side.
Yeah, and just a nice moment here, right? I think 369 just completely caught out, didn't get the push in on the 3rd wave, so you end up with Jiejie just in a perfect position to actually get that kill on the top side, and then we swap over the bottom side, like missing. I don't know how he managed to survive this. Like, the fact he's so close to going down, that auto attack from Viper nearly kills him before he flashes away, and then with Scout TPing in here as well, you've got Viego for Jiejie holding the wave, so they think, okay, we can turn this around, ton of damage coming through, but they only get the 1 kill back onto Kanavi.
Crucially, Yagao didn't actually join in at all. We'll find a route onto Scout here, and the bubble goes wide as well. Scout has to flash away. Kanavi tries to chase it. They actually don't have the damage. Scout will survive.
Scout will survive, but just about the big issue that you're seeing though is like how strong this Wukong is in the early stages, right? Like, he's got a ton of burst damage, get the kill on bot side, moves in towards mid, nearly able to get the kill onto Scout. Scout now actually gonna stick around with Jiejie helping him to clear out this wave, but that means that Jiejie isn't farming, isn't getting the advantages that he wants to try and lend himself in towards that later portion of the game.
Well, he is farming, just at Scout's expense. That's going to be a night drop by Scout. Obviously, pick that up with the Spelthy. And Yagao just going to be farming underneath the tower. He is now level 6, so you do have to be a little cautious as Scout. Surely the recall has to come through at this point, because Yagao's all-in potential with that flash available as well is real dicey for Scout.
I think we're seeing, though, the big difference between the bot laners that we kind of highlighted at the start, right? We talked about Hope getting a ton of early pressure down on this bottom side. Again, Kanavi sitting around in this bottom lane. And Viper and Meiko aren't really able to deal with the amount of pressure because Jiejie just isn't responding on this bottom side. And now with 2 kills towards Hope, the Jinx starting to scale, she's going to be able to start looking to take turret plates with the Loon Quiver already picked up. Like, you need to try and shut down this bot lane as EDG.
Certainly do, and you can see 369 channeling a recall there. He knows that Jiejie's up on this top side of the map. He knows he's not safe to stick around, so gonna play it safe. The wave pushing towards Flandre, which is perfect for EDG's top laner. He'll be able to just keep that as long as he wants. He might even clear it. We'll have to wait and see what he chooses to do, but Drake gonna be taken here by JDG again. Starting off with these Drakes, this is what we saw in game number 1, managing to repeat it for game number 2, but looks like Flandre is gonna go for that freeze we talked about.
Yeah, and I think it's a good spot for Flandre to try and do this, right? Because Rift Herald is going to be open a little bit. If you can, like, stack a big wave in that top side, create a slow push, then you can actually try and contest this as EDG. Because, as you can see in bot lane, Hope and Missing have already pushed in that wave. They're looking for the reset. They'll return to bot side, push in one more wave, and then we'll start to rotate up towards this this Herald as well. So, I think this is where you're kind of seeing, okay, Flandre, with this control, might be able to stop 369 from interacting with that Rift Herald and give a bit of respite to EDG.
Jiejie wants to try and move in on this top side. 369 could be in trouble. He desperately wants to clear that wave, but I don't think he'll be allowed to. Flandre starts the all-in. Flash away from 369. Half HP as Flandre flashes forward. There's a more from Jiejie, and the ult to finish him off as well. Another pick up on that top side. 369 tried to play it cautiously, but still gets shut down.
Yeah, 369 was trying to see if he could break that freeze, but unfortunately not able to do so. Now we talked about EDG having control of that top side. It's going to work out beautifully for them. Now, should be able to try and move across with Flandre in tow. No TP for the Gangplank as well. So they should have a numbers advantage up here, especially if they catch Kanavi.
Kanavi goes for a play onto Flandre here. He just wants a 1v1 on the enemy top laner. Oh my days, Kanavi. I mean, obviously, Flandre, no ult. He was low, no flash, etc., but there's not many junglers that you see that would just go for a 1v1 in the top lane like that. And that means this Herald should be just a free objective now.
I mean, Kanavi just knows the power of Wukong at level 6. The second you hit that ultimate, you can do so much work off that ultimate. And look at the timing on it as we get in the replay, right? Just as that ward is cleared out of the bush, that's when he goes in. So you think you're totally safe as Flandre, but little do you know, the monkey is swinging in.
Certainly is, and he'll be rewarded with that Rift Herald. Nicely done there. In the meantime, Viper and Meiko have crashed a big wave on that bottom side. Might have to get a plate or two for themselves. This 369 going to be over the moon at the state of this wave right now, because it looks like it is probably going to bounce towards him if the turret shots are going to hit. Looks like they are. So nice stuff for him, as Flandre will just have to clear that one up, and it means 369 has a moment of freedom to go get some vision for himself. Let's talk game plan though, because we're even in gold, we're even in kills. Next Drake is up in 2.5 minutes time. Dagda, are we still expecting JDG to be the ones trying to put their foot down on that Drake?
Yeah, definitely. Especially when you look at Kanavi having the Rift out of his back pocket, right? You can start to use that to create even more advantages for JDG. And I wouldn't even be surprised to see them just try and toss that in towards the Jinx in the bot lane. Like, you've already got a pretty decent CS lead opening up for Hope in that bot lane. You can see the player gold. He is by far and away the largest on JDG as well. So just giving more gold into this AD carry, letting her become that late game threat is going to be your best bet. So, and even with one turret plate already taken, the second one looking fairly likely in the next couple of pushes, I think that's your best place for JDG to put that push.
Looks like Hope and Missing are going to just shove this wave in, try and potentially find a reset for themselves. There's Hope already on the pickaxe of the Noon Quiver, might be close to finishing his mythic. Kanavi moving into this bottom lane, but he is going to be warded, so nothing will come of this one. Remember, it does still have that Herald in his pocket if they want to buy priority for the Drake, but it's still 90 seconds away from that happening. It's 369. The freeze, unfortunately for him, not able to last anywhere near as long as what we got from Flandre.
Yeah, I mean, look, Flandre should be able to break this, but the thing is, I don't think you really have the dive potential on towards 369 without help from Jiejie. So this is now the question for EDG, right? Do you actually try and contest on towards this dragon, or do you try and get further advantages up in this top side? Because you've already gotten 2 kills for Jiejie. If you can maybe try and trade back some of these turret plates and get a kill on the top side, that could work out, because inevitably, you know, JDG are going to look for a dragon and to use this Herald either mid or in this bot lane.
Yeah, Viper will have priority in the bottom side, and I don't know if he has time for a reset. We've got 45 seconds till the Drake, and actually he's been spotted. We could see Hope use his ult to stop the recall, and we will. That's exactly what happens. So Viper now having to rechannel that recall. Just 30 seconds until the Drake. This should be positional advantage for JDG, especially with a Herald in the mid lane.
Yeah, and this is what we're talking about, right? Like, the ability for Rift Herald to just buy that opportunity for you to go for the Rift. I would say, though, I mean, getting it in mid is nice and all, but I think you actually could have used it to break up in that bot lane tower and actually get a little bit more gold in towards Hope. Has got the Kraken Slayer here, though, so maybe just thinking, hey, look, if Yagao starts to fall behind, he won't be relevant.
Scout spotting it though, and a bubble goes in, but they're already on to Jiejie. They just all in him. As Scout goes to check, his junglers already died. Beautifully done by JDG. And in the meantime, why Herald bot Dagda when Hope can just take the tower by himself, apparently? 3 plates gone down. Viper and Meiko in a 2v1, and they ain't winning right now as Hope just chunking Viper out. Missing might look for this one. Low on mana from Hope, but the Zenith blade goes wide. That'll be the end of the play. Zap goes wide as well. Here comes Scout. Maybe a cleanup. Kanavi trying to clear the vision as Hope just will not stop. He ain't stopping for anybody. As Scout moves in, looks for the bubble. Will find it onto Hope. Missing, needs to block here. A lot of damage coming out from Scout, but he's too low on HP. Turns golden, but short. Oh, the timing on the ult from Hope. He only just used it to stop the recall, and it's already up to take out Scout.
Yeah, he's just giving Scout the recall back with that ultimate. Super nice job from JDG to play that one out. And Scout, unfortunately, trying to take that step too far. Now, Yagao has push in mid, and he's got the opportunity to get some more of those plates for himself with nobody being able to answer in the mid lane. But get it here in the replay, right? Like, this is just really well played by Hope. Getting the chompers right in behind Viper. And again, remember, we're talking about Hope. Like, this is a guy who wants to prove something against Viper. And, I mean, this is some of the play that we wanted to see from the new AD carry for JDG to actually show off against the guy who replaced him.
Yeah, not just beating the guy that replaced him, but beating his old support as well. At the same time, 2v1. Not too shabby from Hope. And the timing on that rocket, just immaculate there. Hope absolutely one of the most exciting prospects in the LPL, and I really hope we get to see him at an international event soon. I hope we get to see him strut his stuff on the big stage. But it's EDG's turn to strut their stuff as Jiejie makes his way up towards his top lane. Perhaps an opportunity for a dive, but I don't know, we took that away.
Still, though, we're seeing JDG having dominance in the early stages of this series. EDG just haven't really been able to muster anything. We talked about Jiejie, yes, getting some pressure in towards the top side, but this bottom lane has been slowly but steadily going out of control for EDG. And even when we looked at the last game, right, with the Kalista and the Renata, this was a lane that wanted to punish early, wanted to be aggressive, but was denied that opportunity for JDG. Now you're seeing a lane that wants to scale, and it's gone even worse than it went in the last game. This is a 3-0 Jinx, nearly having that rapid fire cannon completed. She's going to be monstrous in this game. And as we said, there's no real backline dive threat for the Jinx apart from Flandre and JJ to a certain extent, but that's easily manageable with JDG's composition.
And this is the thing, if you're going to blind pick Ezreal and say, look, we're not going to have much pressure during this laning phase, then it opens up picks like this Jinx to just scale up for free. And maybe not even scale up, maybe just win early as well, apparently, as JDG seems to be doing so. Already the hat trick on Hope. And like you say, Kraken Slayer already finished off, almost got a rapid fire cannon for himself, or a static shiv, rest in peace. We'll have to wait and see on that one. But either way, JDG, a phenomenal start, 3,000 gold lead, and now looking towards the second arrow. And you know, we talked about these two teams both love the neutral objectives. Well, EDG don't even get a look in on the neutrals this game. This will be both heralds go the way of JDG, both dragons so far. The third Drake up in 2 minutes. I don't even know if EDG have anything in the tank to fight for it.
I mean, I don't think they do, to be perfectly honest. Like, Viper set very far behind. Scout doesn't really do well unless they have to play from range. Now, has gone for, excuse me, sorry, the Leandri's Anguish, which I'm not a big fan of. I think on, oh, hang on.
Yagao's in big trouble here. Ignited. The True Vision going to come on through as the ult comes out from JJ. Oh, but he goes the other way. Never mind. Got to get shut down by Scout. Auto attacks 2 OP on this one. Good attempt from Yagao on the juke, but a nice pick from Scout in the end. And a potential window here, but Drake not up for another minute and 10 seconds. It's a pick for EDG. I'm not sure they can actually get anything off of it.
Yeah, maybe if you could try and get some vision control down, you could look to, like, find that poke with Viper and Scout, but unfortunately, you're just not really able to get that down because there's such a big threat coming through from the rest of JDG. As I said, though, should be able to just move in here and at least get some sort of vision control down so they can spot out what is going to happen at 50 seconds in this dragon, but Kanavi still having that Rift Herald means that they can once more kind of go, okay, well, I mean, we have 2 dragons. Maybe we just give up third dragon, look to use this Herald to crack up in a tier 2 mid.
Missing just going to walk in onto Jiejie. I don't think Jiejie realized that Missing's totally alone there. That honestly could have been a kill for Jiejie. But then again, Leona pretty tanky. Does take a long time to finish him off, so maybe there would have been a chance for replay. For counterplay, replay, what am I saying? Scout going to TP in. We got a Drake in 20 seconds. We said EDG probably don't have enough in the tank, but maybe with the pick, they can find that option. Scout looking for a bubble. Will land onto 369, but he's just going to eat oranges, so it'll be K. And now the poke has to come down from EDG.
Yeah, you can see Scout trying to land it, but JDG just kind of playing at arm's length. You got Yagao, who's setting himself up nicely for a flank, just to get some damage on towards Scout. Viper responding, but this is the Rift Herald in the mid lane we were talking about. JDG don't actually have to commit to this dragon. They can just go for the tier 2 mid if they want to instead.
Well, if nothing happens, they get the tier 2 mid by default. The Herald will just do that by itself. And so all they need to do is play enough to deny this Drake as long as possible. But EDG trying to burn it down as fast as they possibly can. It's taken. Jiejie gets the smite. But now JDG, they're going to move over. And Dagda, I don't know if they're looking for a tier 2. They might get an opportunity to get some damage onto an inhib tower right here. The reset's coming through from the side of EDG. But the Herald will get a charge. Hope is here. Yagao is here. An inhib tower down for JDG at 18 minutes.
Really nicely done by JDG, and that's what we're talking about, right? Like, you don't actually have to full commit for the dragon as JDG. They just go, right, screw it. We'll let the Rift Herald do the work in mid. We can then come and join. Flandre will maybe get the bot lane turret, but I think 369 just clears out the wave, and they don't even get that.
Yep, he's not even going to use the barrels. I feel like that's Oh, right. Okay, I see what he was doing. He was trying to get a cheeky little hit on Flandre as well. I'm not the 5-head Gangplank that 369 is, unfortunately. I can't see these plays. As Scout going to get knocked up, slowed down by the Cannon Barrage, and finished off by Kanavi. Used his splash as well and still goes down. That means Hope can finish this tower off. And we're going from bad to worse here. So it's a 5,000 gold lead, and it's only going to get bigger. As Flandre, though, tries to find a tower in this bottom side. Diving here, Missing moves in, 369 uses the oranges, and great peel from Missing to protect his top laner. The tower does go down, and EDG continuing on this bottom side. You can see Meiko and Viper nearby as well. They can't get too much, and they've traded for a tier 2 on the top side.
Yeah, Glacial Augment doing so much work there to stop Jiejie and Flandre from being able to follow up. And as you say, right, you get the kill on top side for JDG. They get both turrets, and JDG are just outplaying EDG on the map. Scout stays way too long in the side lane underneath this turret, and Kanavi's just able to rock up underneath it and get the kill alongside the Gangplank.
Very nicely done here. I like the combo coming out from all three players, the Gangplank and the Jinx ult, so 2 globals. And Kanavi just holds Scout in place with the knockups on that Wukong. It's now a 6,000 gold lead. And I feel like when you've got a 6,000 gold lead and a Gangplank and a Jinx for scaling, that's a recipe for success here for JDG. I was expecting this to be a 3-game banger, especially after game number 1, but right now it's feeling like JDG have downloaded EDG from game number 1. They have read the EDG playbook. Now they're trying to make a play of their own as they start this Baron off, but Jiejie gets a ward in. That'll stop things for now. Yagao trying to find damage onto Viper. A rocket comes in. They won't be able to find a kill.
But I think this is why, like, when I was talking about my top 4 that I see moving on towards the World Championship, it was V5, RNG, JDG, and Top Esports. But I'm going to hold on. Is this Flandre?
Flandre wants to make a play. He's on to Hope here. The peel coming out from Missing. Hope survives. And now the knockups come through from this Wukong. Look at Hope just free firing. Look at the damage coming out from him. But Kanavi's gone down. Maybe it's winnable for EDG. The resets don't happen for the side of JDG. No picks returned. It will be EDG with a 1-for-0 trade here. No dragon on the map. Baron feels like an overreach. And again, a pick for EDG. But it doesn't quite feel like they can do much off of it.
Yeah, I mean, at least it's some nice go back in EDG's favor. And crucially, you did get both Summoner Spells ready to Hope. So, I mean, if you're looking towards, like, potential flank opportunities, maybe at, like, the next Dragon or at the Baron as well, you do have Hope far more vulnerable now. But it did actually end up costing Flandre his flash. So, it feels like now the real onus is going to be on, like, JJ, maybe with Meiko in tow. See if you can find those flank opportunities onto Hope and shut him down in the next fight.
Yeah, I want everyone to keep their eyes on Missing during this next fight as well, because usually you think of Leona as this like hard engaged champion, right? But it's really Kanavi that's doing the engage work, and Missing every single fight basically just drops his solar flare on Hope's head. And whoever's trying to kill Hope gets stunned up, and then Missing tries to continue the peel. He was doing it for 369 in the bottom lane earlier as well.
And that's the same story with Kanavi as well in the Wukong. A lot of people kind of forget that the clone does use the ultimate as well. So oftentimes when you end up with Flandre, like in that situation, trying to dive the back line, you can step down the clone in the right spot as Kanavi and ult at the same time, so it denies the follow-up in a lot of situations as well. And that's why I think you've got to be so smart with how you try and find those flanks, like Flandre was just there as EDG, because if you aren't, it's so easy for JDG, to separate Edward Gaming and not allow them to find these moments.
Just look at the difference between... Oh my god, damage out of 369! What can you do? Flandre get be sent packing here. Hope a full item up while building more expensive items in that bottom lane. Kind of insane. He is massive at this point. 3 items is really where the Jinx is likely to come online anyway. JDG stacking up on this Drake. They'll be able to just start this one off. And it's very difficult for EDG to just push on in. True Shot Barrage comes through. JDG trying to defend, Missing being that front line. Drake down to 2k, and they are just going to brute force this one. Smite comes out. Now the Lost Chapter comes in. The final chapter, sorry, is the Cannon Barrage over the team. Rocket comes in. Flandre knocked up, and the damage out from Hope as well. It's 2 kills already as JDG punish EDG for too much aggression. It's a fight they couldn't contest, and JDG want to make sure they know it.
And now you have the wave in mid lane as well, and that tower is already taken. So inhibitor exposed for JDG. They have a wave on the top side as well, and you still have 20 seconds until Flandre is up. They don't actually want to commit for that. Instead, looks like they're just going to go for the tier 2 on bot lane.
But an intelligent play, right? Because ultimately, it's difficult to use the supers in mid lane to pressure anywhere else on the map. So rather than give them a bunch of like 90 gold every single wave, play for the other side lanes. You don't need to get that in hit yet. So I feel like that's actually an intelligent decision.
I think the only reason I'd see it is because it can help you get topside vision, which works really well for JDG in the position they're in. But see here in the team fight anyway, you're going to have Kanavi, who now able to get on towards Meiko with the backline there. And this is what we're talking about. The double knock-up from the clone and Kanavi there that ends up setting up super well for that fight. But yeah, the reason why I think taking mid inhib could work here is like you end up getting push, you get mid inhib, and you get push in mid, you can rotate in towards the top side. And I think the biggest problem for 369 and like Yagao and stuff is like, hey, trying to face check into a lot of what EDG have may not always work out well for you. So having that like minion push in mid that forces EDG to defend can help you get vision established from Baron, and you can take that so fast with Hope having this Kraken Slayer now.
369 trying to finish off Scout. It was
Wait,
damn
the
close.
shot! There's rockets!
Well. Oh. That was a close one. Scout, I don't think saw that coming either. I think that was just Hope overestimating how quickly Scout could get back to that fountain. My goodness, a close one there. 369 knows how to pressure on this Gangplank 2 games in a row now, and he's feeling good about it. That tier 2 we talked about finally going down as the gold lead is extended to 9,000, mirroring that of game number 1. A different way to get there, though, from JDG, and I feel like we're really seeing a team that are coming into their own in summer. They already look good in spring, and they're looking really clean in summer.
Yeah, and it took them a while to come on a lot online in spring, admittedly, right? Like, they weren't exactly the powerhouse team from the get-go, but once they kind of settled into their style, they become very, very good at it. And this is why kind of the conversation started up was, like, why JDG were ahead of me for top 4 leading into Worlds was because you can see on the screen, right? Like, they have a really good understanding of the identity that they want to play, how they want to try and play at the map. They have strong carries. The ability to play through bot side is really good for them.
To Jiejie potentially. Cannonbarrage is even going to come down. Final chapter to deny further follow-up here, but Flandre has flash available. Can he escape from this one? Because EDG, it feels like they're all just trying to escape one by one, but they don't get anything back in. They're not actually returning any damage. Viper finally arrives, missing low on HP here. A Scout will look for a bubble. He has a Prowler's Claw to work with. As Viper jumps forward, takes a massive chunk from Yagao. The Zap comes in as well. Instant cleanse from Viper. A Scout tries to return damage. Big out of Flandre. Maybe this is a fight for EDG. Missing 1 HP right now. 369 oranges on the bubble, but the poke is there. Finally one for Viper and EDG. They can all jump over this wall. Viper once more, missing, goes topside to try and distract, to try and buy space for the squad. As JJ tries to head everybody off, but Kanavi playing bouncer. And JDG, they got away with that by the skin of their teeth, but they will lose the Baron.
That was so well played by EDG. They recognized that JDG had used everything to try and close the gap, but hadn't really succeeded. And then the range from EDG can be used. Now Kanavi and Hope try to see if they can make the play, but ultimate for Hope, nearly up and available.
Nearly, but not quite. Kanavi can't find a way into the pit. That will be Baron for EDG, and just when we're counting them out, Dagda, just when we're saying, you know, JDG, top 4 team, great sprint, No. They get destroyed. EDG, show them how to fight, show them how to kite back, do exactly what their comp wants to do.
You know what? I would like to think my analysis is slightly better than but
no, it's not. I'm sorry to break it. I don't want to have to be the one to break this to you, mate.
but look, as we said, JDG, look, Kanavi using ult doesn't get onto Flandre because he's able to just about eke out. The cannon barrage is down, and EDG here doing such a smart job of just playing it slow, making sure they can get the poke they need. Like, Viper knows realistically here that, look, this is how he needs to play this, so he can try and find those moments to get the damage down. And Flandre, beautiful ult across the board, but Dragon is up and available 10 seconds, and EDG are on the hunt.
JDG with control right now. Flandre the target as he just gets rooted up by the Flame Trompers. The cannon barrage is there as well. Hope is in a 1v1 against Jiejie though. Flashes away beautifully. And JDG, you know, they messed up one fight, but I don't think it's going to matter. That'll be Drake taken now. Soul in their pocket. And it's a nice attempt from EDG. At least they got something. At least they got... They showed us something in this game, but it's too little, and I think it was too late.
Yeah, exactly. And that's it. Just able to close the gap in this fight. JDG get on to the key carries. Key members in Flandre and JJ. And with JJ having no smite, That's the Mountain Soul going across, and suddenly the ability to try and play this this comp from EDG becomes so much more difficult because you're already struggling with the engage that's coming through from JDG. Now that they have the ability to even become tankier on these fights, just makes it so much more difficult. And Missing, great job to get onto Flandre here, a ton of follow-up CC. And it got a bit scary in the backline there because you think, oh, JJ has gone on towards Hope, maybe that's it, but you've already got too many members from JDG up to turn back. Hope does a great job of dodging away from the Heartbreaker. And EDG now, again, looking down the barrel of a 2-0 loss against JDG.
Be a brutal result to find as Missing. Knows how tanky he is, happy to just walk into Jiejie time and time again, bully him out of space. And I love how confident this JDG team is when it comes to buying space like that, right? Missing is always the one walking forward, but Kanavi certainly not afraid to do the same. They're more than willing to start a fight by themselves, knowing that the rest of the squad will be on the way or will be there with global ultimates. We saw it with the pick on Scout up in the top side. We've seen it time and time again with Missing moving in for Vision. It's so beautiful to see like how much JDG are just on the same page. And that's often the big difference between the very top teams in the LPL and the rest of the gang. It's just the pure coordination.
And that's why I think from like EDG's perspective, they've been able to rewrite history to a certain extent coming in towards like our playoff rematch, right? I think when you look at teams that are like, coordinated in the way you're talking about there, Munch, like Weibo isn't exactly one of them, right? And FPX as well is struggling at the moment. And that's why I think EDG, because they have better coordination, we're certainly able to take them. But I think you're seeing a level up in JDG stall here, where that early game coordination is just too hot to handle for EDG, because JJ just hasn't been given the attention to Viper and Meiko in the bot lane, and they aren't finding these big advantages that we kind of hope for, so Viper can take over.
And man, we talked about Hope versus Viper at the start of today. Well, has Hope had a day and a half for himself?
Yeah.
Boy, must this feel good to be Hope right now. 4-0 and 4 items. And Viper struggling to get a foothold in this game on Ezreal. It feels like the punishment coming out from JDG's bottom lane against one of the best bot lanes in the world, theoretically. But Hope basically 2v1ing them earlier on in this game. Like, just such an exceptional performance. And I swear, it doesn't matter what champion Hope plays at this point. He's just insane. He's one of the best.
Yeah, especially since he was denied that victory back in spring, right? Because it was actually a 2-0 victory for EDG back in spring. So now to potentially find it here is going to be kind of a nice growth story. But they still have to close this one out, and EDG still hunting.
They are, but Missing is kind of tanky. Doesn't take much damage from this one, although it's burning on the Leandries. There's Jiejie with a bit more damage onto him. But they can't really make it happen. No objective for another minute and a half just yet, so feels like we're just playing for waves here. And now we're getting to a point where, oh, hang on, Kanavi going for an engage onto Jiejie. They're trying to find a way in. Yagao onto Viper, predicts the E backwards. Doesn't quite have the damage to finish it off, though. Viper low on HP, no rocket available for Hope. Feels like JDG are really struggling to find a way to actually finish this game out.
I actually think JDG are doing the right thing here, though, because all they're trying to do is see what they can blow from EDG before Baron, right? Like, Kanavi doesn't commit the ult because he's hoping, okay, maybe I can get Heartbreaker, maybe I can get a flash from JJ once I get the engage, and then just backs away. Same when you look at Yagao, right? Yes, Yagao did go for the ignite, but did get the cleanse out of Viper. It's these, like, little things that JDG were seeing if they could eke out from EDG, because they know, especially with, you know, Baron in 35 seconds, Elder in just over a minute and a half, there is going to be more of these fights, and having these summoner spells on cooldown is going to give them those little windows of opportunity.
Certainly will, as Jiejie tries to find vision around this Baron area. And we'll be able to get the Scuttle Crab, which is crucial with this Baron coming up in 20 seconds. Scuttle Crab, so valuable to be able to find that permanent vision, well, not permanent, but that invincible vision, I guess, on just the area outside of the Baron pit. But even if you have vision, I don't really know if EDG can fight for this one, being 8,000 gold down, because we're seeing JDG struggling to actually find the fight onto EDG. But if they get the fight, they do win.
Yeah, and that's why they're baiting for these objectives, right? They start up Baron now because they're trying to bait EDG in.
Missing wants to move forwards, big damage onto Flandre, but as the shields has a bit of sustain. Yagao behind enemy lines here, just trying to be an absolute...
Oh, they put Jiejie
Oh! He pushes Jiejie into the pit! That was hilarious! Yagao, the absolute 5 head gamer, and now onto Flandre they go. Knockups galore, Scout chased over the wall by 369 with the Prowler's Claw. That's insane, and he'll fall. Flandre turns golden. He tries to get a combo up onto Hope, but he does not have the damage. Meiko will fall as well as 2 more come through for the young AD carry on JDG. And now that might just be curtains as Jiejie and Viper trying to escape with their lives. 369 staying a little too long on this one. Has to turn golden, missing blocking for him, but the True Shot Barrage goes straight through anyway. But the wave is cleared. And so the tower will be also. Viper having to E away. There's one inhib. The mid one wide open too. And guess what? Elder's spawning in 2 seconds time.
Yeah, and JDG are going to look for the resets, but that was so nice from Yagao. Toothpaste is too clean on the play, just bopping JJ in. I imagine to set up for the play for JDG, but JJ now on the hunt. Won't get spotted, but you on the bot lane wave, at least on the mini-map, but I don't know if they spotted just the fact that the Shroud was there.
Kanavi's super low. There's TP coming in. Jiejie wants to find the smite. Can he find the game? The answer's no. Kanavi gets it. And Jiejie burning down to the Elder Dragon. It was a valiant attempt. The game was essentially already over. He had to try and make the hero play, but he can't find the smite. And now with 40 seconds on the death timer and with Elder Dragon in pocket, it feels like JDG can walk this one in.
Yeah, Yagao is going to push him bot side, so at least the moment maybe JDG going to play this still a little bit slow and by the book, which is kind of surprising. Like, they do tend to finish out their games incredibly quickly so far in Summer Split, but they are just going to go dot the I's, cross the T's as Yagao pushes in bot, and they will go for the third inhib.
And it shows a level of respect, right? They are against the world champions at the end of the day. EDG have shown multiple times this game that if you give them an inch, they will take a mile. And so JDG are like, okay, no more inches, not a single inch for the rest of this game. Third inhib goes down, wards cleared, and now JDG can start to siege because Kanavi rejoining the squad here. With his ult coming up momentarily, it feels like a 5v5 is really not on the cards for EDG. Just about going wide on the solar flare. Scout though, low on HP, watching for Hope's rockets here as he'll try and finish anyone off that gets even remotely low. Remember, with that Elder Dragon execute, Jinx becomes a nightmare to deal with.
Yeah, and you can see super minions streaming in the top side, so JDG are just going to back away and look for the Baron instead. Just basically knowing that when they get Baron, they can just drown EDG and minions instead. So they are giving a ton of respect to EDG.
This is the safest I've ever seen JDG play, I'm pretty sure, aside from like 2020, which was a long old time ago.
I will say though, sometimes that can be an issue. Sorry, this is just, that is just actually incredible. Oh, there we go, fight though.
We've got to fight in the meantime, yeah. As
never mind, no fight though.
Baron.
Baron. But yeah, I think this is the thing, right? Like, yes, you are playing this incredibly safe as JDG, and it should still net you the win. But I mean, it is also giving time for EDG to like actually find that window back into the game, right? And you are giving like the extra super minions coming into the base as well. Means that you are getting a good amount of gold going back over towards EDG. And you've nearly got the Rabadon's death cap. The Scout's trying to see if he can pick that up. So, I mean, if that gets completed, suddenly that's a lot more damage and pick potential coming out from Scouts.
I'm just looking at the items at the minute. You know, we always know Knight, the man for the Medjais. Well, Yagao from the same town, buddies from school. He's gone for the Medjais. Not quite as good as Knight's one, though, is he? Only 5 stacks. You know, it's still going to be a win. He's still had a great game, but you know, not quite as good as his buddy on this one. It's 369 trying to get the damage down now. That's one Nexus Tower will fall. Cannon Barrage to force EDG away. As JDG don't even want the fight. They're just zoning. As Hope actually will try and finish these health bars off. The Nexus Towers have fallen. EDG have fallen. And JDG continue undefeated in the LPL.
And just a really nice series from JDG as well. We kind of highlighted at the start of the day that we saw a lack of consistency from JDG in their early game, but a lot of those doubts kind of out the window with this series. Being able to play around bot side incredibly well, getting Hope advantages over Viper, and then being able to play spectacularly in those team fights around the neutral objectives.
Really beautifully done, and EDG a lot to think about on this one. You can see them scratching their heads. And it looks like that was an exhausting game for them because, you know, it was a long game. And those kinds of games where you're constantly behind, it goes on a long time. And no, I forgot again. Those kinds of games where it goes on a long time and you don't have a foothold the entire time, it is mentally exhausting. They're going to have to go back to the drawing board on that one and hope that they can figure out the way forward, because it was hope that was their bane at the end of the day.
Yeah, and look, that's the big issue here, is that you're kind of going, right, we highlighted, at least from the jungle proximity in our graphic at the start of the day, that, look, we're not getting a ton of pressure down towards Viper and Meiko. And I think when you're seeing so many aggressive picks come out from them in the bottom lane, especially in this series, like with the Renata and also with the Kalista, I think you need to give that attention bot side. Like, it's fine when, like, Viper's played like 2 games of Senna already with the Tam Kench. All right, go play elsewhere. If Viper's on something like the Ezreal, I do agree. But when you're trying to play aggressive, you have to try and give that attention bot side. And unfortunately, JDG just wasn't able to do that this series. Game 1, they got punished because they fell behind early. Well, sorry, they went even and couldn't get those advantages early that you need to try and play the Kalista Renata. And then in this game, they just fell completely behind, where Hope was an absolute monster come the mid game.
The one positive thing I will say for EDG is, if there's anything we saw in this series, it's that they still have that killer instinct. Like, you saw that fight in top lane, right, where JDG overstepped just a little bit, EDG immediately pounce and punish. And unfortunately for them, they couldn't get more. Like, they only got 1 pick off the back of that fight, even though they played so well. If they get just 2 or 3 picks there, maybe they could turn it into something more. And that felt like the nature of this entire game. Every time they did find a pick, weren't able to convert it into any objectives.
Yeah, and even just the fact that we kind of saw them lagging behind, not only in the objectives front, but how they wanted to try and play the map as well, right? So many times we saw a scout like overextending on the top side of the map, he gets caught out, and that means that then you've got all this extra gold that's going into Hope because he gets the kill, he gets the tower, he gets a tier 2 tower as well, and yes, Flandre got like the bot tower, but it's not really adding up to as much. So I think it's just a case of like EDG not being as comfortable on how they wanted to play the map from a deficit as JDG were from playing ahead.
Yeah, but I will say, JDG, when they're ahead, they are just terrifying. Yeah. They're so difficult to deal with. And again, we talked about it right at the very start. Kanavi and Missing as a duo, like the way that they work together to get vision, the way that they are so confident going to contest Jiejie. Like, so many times we saw Missing literally on his own on the map just walk up to Jiejie and just start hitting him with his sword. And Jiejie is like, well, I have to assume the rest of JDG is here because there's no way Missing can be this confident otherwise. No, that's just Missing. He's just an absolute Chad, that's all.
I mean, look, overall, this was a spectacular series from JDG, and not only from Missing, but across the board, right? And I gotta say, I think 369 is the standout performer for me over the course of the day, alongside Kanavi with, as you can see, a 93% kill participation. But I think the Gangplank for 369 works out super well, right? Like, the ability to play side lanes, I think he was really smart with how he decided to use his ultimate across the board. And even then you can see, like, finding those moments to go aggressive, like pushing back Flandre, getting poke onto Scout, like burning crucial summoner spells before big fights. It made things a lot easier for JDG. We did have those neutral skirmishes.